session. Okay. Finally, let's move on to our last session. Let's welcome our guest speaker, Mr. Gautama Prabhu Nagapan from Chennai, Tamil Nadu. He is social activist and civil servant dedicated to Buddhist revivalism. He holds multiple degrees, including masters in Buddhist studies and social work, and has served in key roles such as National Director of Dalit Rights at Human Rights Law Network. He founded several organizations like the Foundation of His Sacred Majesty, supporting health education and social enterprises across India. His work has benefited thousands through medical treatment, scholarship, and skill development programs. Gautama has received several awards, including Dakshina Bharata Sasna Vibhusana Award for his contributions to social activism and Buddhism. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Gautama. He can you hear us, sir?
Yeah.
Welcome.
Are we ready?
Yes. You can start.
Thank you very much. Namo Buddhaya, Jai Bhim to all my dear brothers and sisters and wonderful children. I was so happy to listen to some of the children with full confidence narrating. It's really a great occasion to see children burgeoning with spontaneous thoughts. I rejoice the merits of all those who have been working hard to nurture these children. Thank you very much. And audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah. So please let me know if the connection goes off, even though I'm right now in University of Kerala. Sometimes the internet network doesn't seem to be that conducive for having Zoom calls. So in case if there is any difficulty, I would like to close my video and come in audio. But as of now, I think it's audible for everyone.
Yes, it is audible.
Yeah. So I first of all thank ANA and all the members who are affiliated to ANA for giving me this wonderful opportunity to present about the Buddhist heritage towards inclusive society. So this is a theme that we have coined for the biennial conference that we are organizing in Chennai from the 27th of November until the 1st of December at Chennai. So this biennial conference is organized by INEB and in collaboration with Tamil Buddhist Society. INEB stands for International Network of Engaged Buddhists, which was established in the early 80s by Ajahn Sulak to involve more into socially engaged aspect rather than Buddhism being exclusively at the spiritual front. As a Buddhist, we have to be socially engaged, and social engagement includes several dimensions of our society, in which, for me, I'm more interested towards the marginalized communities, particularly working with those who are affected by caste across the globe, in fact. So my primary involvement, when you say countries, that I am deeply involved in India, in Sri Lanka, in Nepal, in Japan, and also in Malaysia. My recent exploration also had to do with my recent exploration also includes Indonesia, where it has a huge population of the Dalit community, which migrated way back in the 9th century. And also very interesting to know that the Dalit community of Indonesia embraced Buddhism in the late 19th century with the influence of the Tamil Buddhist revival movement of Pandit Ayathitas. And also there has been subsequent conversion that took place in the early 1930s and then even in the 50s. So it is quite surprising for me to see such kinds of revivalism that took place even much before Dr. Ambedkar helped us embrace Buddhism in the 50s. Now, the conference theme that we are emphasizing is about Buddhist heritage, because Buddhist heritage includes different dimensions. One starting from the anthropological aspects and the archaeological aspects. When I say anthropological aspects, it is the linguistic nuances that are existing in our Tamil society even now, which is largely influenced by Buddhism. And in fact, the interesting fact which I would like to share also is the tapestry of challenging caste system by the Buddhist leader are largely contributed by the Buddhist leaders of South India, right from Chandrakirti post Buddha's period. We find several great stalwarts from the ancient Buddhist community, like Chandrakirti, Dhammakirti, Nagarjuna, including Nagarjuna, and Dignag, then Pragyatara. All these people, including the epics of Manimegle, had contributed substantially in challenging the caste system. Excuse me. In fact, the Pramana Vartika's contribution is of immense significance, I would say, because Pramana Vartika, written by Dhammakirti, is a huge contribution challenging the Vedas, challenging the concept of God, challenging the narration of soul, challenging the narration of caste system. I think I'm finding this contribution made by Dhammakirti way back in the 6th and 7th century plays a significant role in terms of inheriting the whole lineage, which ends up in the modern era, which includes Pandit Ayuthas and several other leaders, and then in the 20th century with Dr. Ambedkar. So I find this lineage needs to be preserved. I strongly believe that this history has to be narrated about how the rich heritage that we all represent is directly connected to the Buddhist teachings, but at the same time, there is a bridge that connects all of us to the Buddha by the contributions made by these great individuals. And these great individuals' contributions are preserved through epigraphical studies. It has been preserved through archaeological studies. It has been preserved through literatures and linguistics. So this is the crux that we are having in terms of organizing the Buddhist heritage towards inclusive society. And moreover, this year happens to be the 75th anniversary of the Indian Constitution. And Constitution itself has become a substance of heritage which we need to preserve. And we are now in the era of preserving and protecting the Constitution, as we are all aware of what is happening in India, the counter forces of fundamentalism. The counter forces of fundamentalism is basically the communities that are aspiring to bring liberty, equality, fraternity, and social democracy into practice. But the forces that are attacking the richness of social democracy and the legitimacy that has been given to all of us through the Indian Constitution, they are all trying to tamper it, and they wanted to destroy this Constitution and make this Constitution defunct and make this Constitution completely polluted with ideas that is detrimental to the cause of humanity. So that's one reason why we included Constitution as one of the important themes. In fact, the first day of our conference will start with the celebration of the Constitution Day. Of course, the Constitution Day is celebrated all across on the 26th of November, but we are intending to start on the 27th of November. We wanted to celebrate on the 27th because each one of us will be busy on the 26th, celebrating in their respective zones and places. So we would be starting the conference on the 27th of November, where we would be highlighting the aspects of preamble, which is the heart and soul of the Indian Constitution. And in preamble, we have, of course, we have the principles that has been levied, and that becomes the foundation for the Constitution, or we could say the introduction to the Constitution. But at the same time, we also believe that one needs to understand how the preamble has been drafted and what are the challenges which Dr. Ambedkar faced while drafting the Constitution needs to be narrated in different languages. Different language in the sense, the language of the judges. So we are also bringing some eminent judges who will be talking about the Constitution, especially about the preamble. And we will also be inviting academic scholars from law schools and different research institutes. There will be activists who will be presenting the actual phenomena that is taking place in our society at the grassroots. And we will be having spiritual leaders. Of course, it's a Buddhist conference, but we have also invited people from different religious groups, which includes the Islamic community as well as the Christian community to participate, because Buddhist conference is not for Buddhists alone, because Buddhist teaching, which Buddha had said, is opanayiko ehi pasiko, which means that the teachings of the Buddha Dhamma is open to all. And so is our constitution. Constitution is for everyone. And hence we have also invited people from different religious group as well as the non-religious groups as well. And while doing so, we also are cautious enough to present in a manner that is easily understandable for the public. And the public includes, most of them are from the vulnerable communities representing different states. The major representation will be coming from the southern states, because southern states usually don't get such kinds of opportunities which the northern states have got in terms of organizing Buddhist conferences. And most of the Buddhist conferences are largely held in central India, or otherwise in the eastern corridors of India, or otherwise in northern India, such as like Dharamshala, Delhi. But in the southern part, hardly there had been any conferences, especially in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So we are giving more importance for participants from the southern states, which includes Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, Telangana, and Andhra Pradesh. And of course, Pondicherry is a very small state, but then we can also count that in. But at the same time, we're also inviting activists and scholars from Maharashtra and few other states as well. And largely speaking, the beneficiaries, apart from the regional representation, it will also include the aspect of youth participation. So we are encouraging more youths to participate from each state. And we are also pulling some resources to support these youths. And not only youths, we are also being very cautious in making the gender balanced properly in terms of giving more importance to women and girls, and also the transgender community. And in Tamil Nadu, we have Ambedkarite transgender communities as well, who are involved in different social activism. So they will also be part of this conference to take the nectar of the conference, especially the teachings of the Buddha Dhamma. And of course, there will be a huge influence of Dr. Ambedkar's version of Buddhism and social activism. And we also will be giving a scope for activists and the people who are directly connected to spiritual activities to come together for a dialogue. Because we never had conferences, especially Buddhist conferences, where four different realms come together and dialogue. Like, for example, as I said, that people who are involved in the legal framework, be it the retired judges or the lawyers. Then we have the academic scholars on the second front. The third front is on people who are into activism, the real Dalit activists or human rights activists working on different aspects of human rights activism. And the fourth one is the people who are directly involved in spiritual activities, like, be it the Buddhist community or the Islamic community or the Christian community. So we would be not just like any other big conferences delivering lectures. It will be more in terms of uh, plenary sessions where it will involve question and answers and group discussions. And also we are encouraging all the participants, including the speakers, to come out with aspects of uh, come out in the aspects of ideas that will be taking our society way forward. So we would also be coming out with action plan for what needs to be done after the conference. Conference is not just, having some big shows and big talks and going away. Rather, we wanted to make it more action oriented and see how we could take it forward. And so for that, we have four kinds of streams that will run parallelly after the 27th. That is on the 28th and the 29th, we will be having parallel sessions. And one session would be exclusively on archaeology. And there will be another parallel that will be going on environment. The third will be on social justice. And fourth would be on spiritual activism. So these are the four streams, the four parallels that will be going on. But of course, it will be more towards Buddhism. And however, we are encouraging people from uh, other religious groups to also participate, as they can also come to know what we are doing and join hands together. So in archaeology, it's more in terms of two aspects. One is about community archaeology, and second one, which I call it as archaeological justice. In community archaeology, there are close to about 145 Buddhist shrines alone in Tamil Nadu, and which has a significant role to play in terms of Dalit activism. And to understand the plight of the Dalits, I would say that Buddhist heritage needs to be preserved. It's a very important call. And the same goes for Kerala as well. Now, in the community archaeology, we are encouraging the local communities to take care of the monuments, and we also educate the locals to understand the relevance of maintaining these important heritage sites. And in addition to that, we also have what I call as archaeological justice. In archaeological justice part, we also believe that the existing monuments that are there, the existing statues that are prevalent in big temples, the so-called Hindu temples of Tamil Nadu, needs to be protected. Because if the statues are being destroyed, then it erases the whole Buddhist heritage and the history of the Dalits in these temples. So these temples that we have, the large temples that we have in Tamil Nadu, mostly belongs to the Buddhist community. But unfortunately, it has been captured and taken over during the 15th century after the invasion of Krishna Devaraya. Places like Kanchipuram, Mahabalipuram have all been taken over by the Vaishnavite Hindus. And this is history, and this is also archaeology. Now, we have beautiful Buddhist statues in the museum. And unfortunately, these statues that has been protected in the museum would mention about the dates that the statue belongs to. For example, there will be a statue of the Buddha, which would be said something like, this is a soapstone, or this is a sandstone, or this is a granite stone made statue belonging to the 14th century. But it would not mention anything about where it is coming from and where this statue have been taken from. So the archaeological justice campaign is basically to also litigate to the government and persuade the government to explain clearly in these statues, underneath the statues, about where the statue has been taken from, so that it can connect directly to the community, to the local community. Because if somebody says that it is belonging to the 14th century, but we don't know where the statue is coming from, so the easy way of narrating is people immediately say, oh, it is coming from Bihar. So if it is from Tamil Nadu, then it has to mention, it has to be clearly mentioned that so-and-so place, and it belonged to this particular temple, and so on. So these kinds of narratives we are trying to bring. And apart from that, we are also encouraged to develop what we call as the community museum. So that's something that we are also trying to forecast and explore the possibility of developing a community-based museum, which narrates the whole history of caste. One of the interesting museums that I visited in South Africa is the racial museum, and it teaches people of South Africa, both the white community as well as the African community, about how our society was and how our society is. So it shows that we should not get back to the past. And similar kind of the same nature, which we are also aspiring here, that we need to develop something called the caste museum. But when we say caste museum, then we have to face a huge amount of turmoils and resistance from the radicals meaning the fundamentalists. So in order to avoid that, we wanted to come with the social museum, and how the social museum will narrate the cultural heritage and the social tapestry of the southern India. So that's one thing which we are envisaging as an outcome of this conference. And at the same time, the second parallel is about environment. And usually when we talk about environment, it quite often restricted towards the contribution of the so-called upper caste, especially the Brahminical forces, and the environment activism is majorly taken over by the Brahmin communities and glorifying Vedas. So in our conference, we wanted to uh, showcase the contributions made by the Buddhist community and the Dalit community and the tribal community and the fishing community about the environmental activism. There are so many aspects that we could cover, but we hardly have 1 or 2 days, so we would be constricting. But the idea is how the indigenous communities have represented in the cause of environmental activism and protection. And it is not just one community which has no connection with the environment and no connection with the agrarian society, no connection with the forest society, has been capturing the upper echelons of environmental activism. So this is something that we would like to showcase. And the third aspect is obviously the social justice aspect, how social inequalities were addressed by the Buddhist community way back during the time of Buddha and also during the later period in the southern India. And in fact, the epics that we have in South India, especially in Tamil language, we hardly have anything to do with Hinduism. The five great epics of Tamil literature, which starts from Silapadikaram, Sivaka Sintamani, Kundalakesi, Valayapati, and Manimekale. If you see all these five great epics of Tamil literature, three are influenced by Buddhism and two are influenced by Jainism. So we have nothing to do with Vaishnavism or Shaivism. And this narration has to be internationalized. People outside India should also be aware of the rich cultural heritage that the southern Indian communities are representing, especially the Buddhist communities are representing. So how these communities, which were once so well versed in terms of knowledge, in terms of governance, in terms of politics, in terms of determining the economy, had become a vulnerable community, how it became the so-called lower caste community, and how Hinduism was once a minority religion, how it became a majority. And these kinds of narrations or justification that we are having in terms of the proof that until the late 19th century, how the Hindu religion was a minority religion, became a major religion. So these narratives that I'm sharing now is justified by the Tamil Buddhist movement established by Pandit Ayathadas in 1892. So they are the precursor of I would say, the torch bearers of running the human rights activism in the late 19th century and the earlier 20th century. And of course, we see Dr. Ambedkar's contribution coming humongously later on. And this part of marginalization which took place, and it has different dimensions. It has landed up uh, in, uh, in subjugation at several levels. And levels include manual scavenging, it includes rape, it includes arson, it includes violence. And recently we witnessed the state president of the Bahujan Samaj Party, one of my closest friends, Armstrong, who was butchered in front of his own house. So this is the kind of society that we are living, how the society is moving towards barbarism, how the society is moving towards anti-democratic state. Now, be it the DMK government or ADMK government, be it the BJP government or the Congress government or whichever the government that is ruling, doesn't seem to occupy the space for humanity. So this is something that we wanted to uh, emphasize during the conference, that what is the plight of the Dalits currently and what is the roles and responsibilities of the Dalit leaders. So this is the part of the marginalized communities initiative, and in which people from different countries will also be expressing their vulnerability, especially the Buraku community of Japan would be representing uh, the Dalit community in Sri Lanka, as well as the ethnic minorities of Sri Lanka will also be representing their causes. And we will be having the Dalit community from Nepal. We will be having the Dalit communities of Indonesia and Malaysia. And we will also be having the Roma community of Europe who would be participating during this conference. So this would be the occupation that we will be having on the 28th and 29th. And 30th is going to be an exposure visit. We will be taking the participants to one of the important Buddhist heritage sites, which includes Kanchipuram and Mahabalipuram. On the 1st of December, we will have the main symposium, which will invite great stalwarts coming from across the globe. Like we will be having Ponyam Sunim, one of the greatest socially engaged Buddhist from South Korea, would be participating. And Venerable Bhikkhuni Chohwe from Taiwan would be participating. And we will be having the Japanese leaders who would be participating. Then we would be having the Sri Lankan leaders, and from Thailand, we will be having Ajahn Sulak and several other big leaders who will also be participating. And we are expecting Bhikkhu Bodhi to also be part of the conference. So we will be having the leaders, and the leaders will also be talking about the importance of the topics that I have shared with all of you now. So I request that all of you should try to make an effort. I don't know how feasible it is for all of you to participate in this conference, but I would appreciate if you at least endorse this conference for the well-being of everyone, because revival of Buddhism, as Dr. Ambedkar says, that it means reviving humanity. So to spread Dhamma is to spread humanity. So I would say that if you all encourage me and motivate me in endorsing this conference, and also if you have any like-minded persons whom you feel could be referred and shared about the conference information, please do so. And we will be more than happy to extend our hospitality during the conference, and also ensure that all those who participate will have great memories to dwell upon. And at the same time, I would also ensure that there will be a lot of learning and unlearning which would happen during the time of conference. So this is what I'm here for, and thank you. Wonderful opportunity that has been given to me. I really appreciate each one of you to patiently listen to me. Thank you very much. Jai Bhim, Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you so much, Gautamaji. Thank you for sharing us about information about the conference. If anyone have any question to ask to Gautama sir, please go ahead and unmute yourself. Please raise your hand or unmute yourself.
Gautamaji, here is Mahesh. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. I can.
Yeah. Gautamaji, you mentioned that in your speech that in 1930 there was some kind of conversion happen. What is the history of that? I mean, I have not heard about it. So can you elaborate a little bit?
Sure. The South Indian Buddhist movement, which was established in the late 19th century, it has a great history, which is very much, I would say, connected to Dr. Ambedkar. There was a big debate that happened in the year 1872 in Sri Lanka, in nearby Colombo, a place called Panadura. And during the time of Panadura debate, it was the debate was basically to find out which religion is appropriate for Sri Lanka. And the debate was between the Christian missionaries and the Buddhist missionaries. And Buddhist missionaries were represented by big, great leaders like Migutwe and few others, which also included Sumangala Thero, one of the revolutionary leaders of Sri Lanka during the 19th century. And Sumangala Thero was the one who gave Diksha to two important people. I would say several important people, but for this sake of our conversation, I'm limiting to two important individuals. One is Pandit Ayatitas, and the other one is Chandramani. And Chandramani was the one, Bhikkhu Chandramani was the one who gave Diksha to Baba Sahib during the time of the historic conversion took place in 1956. And Pandit Ayatitas took the Diksha from Sumangala Thero and established the Buddhist revival movement in 1892, and through which he made several efforts of calling the former untouchable community or the Dalit community as the Sakyans. And his anthropological study, which also has been substantiated by Henry Steele Olcott and several others, to claim the fact that the Dalit communities are basically descendants of the Buddhist movement or the Buddhist lineage. And apparently, the argument went on such a level that the Buddhists have to be separately categorized and should not be categorized as the Hindus, which was strongly opposed by the Indian national movement. So that was a time we had the first mass conversion that has taken place, but not in the numerical levels that we witnessed in 1956. But yes, there were hundreds of people who embraced, and there were people who visited to Sri Lanka and embraced Buddhism. In fact, when Pandit Ayatitas embraced Buddhism, there was a good number of people who represented as the Tamil delegates, and as a group, they all embraced Buddhism in Panadura. And then later on, the movement spread in different parts. Like it went towards South Africa, it went towards the Tamil activism, Tamil Buddhist activism also reached Sri Lanka, and also it reached Malaysia and Indonesia, and of course to a major level to Myanmar as well. Now, after it went to Indonesia, and Indonesia, there were special missionaries who were being created and trained from Tamil Nadu. And in fact, Tamil Nadu and Indonesia has a long history that starts from, I would say, 6th century in terms of Buddhism. Of course, in terms of trades, it was going much beyond. But in terms of Buddhism, it has a long history. Indonesia and Tamil Nadu has got a long history, wherein Dhammakirti, who was the teacher of Atisha, the Atisha's teachings are very popular in the Tibetan school, especially when it comes to the 8 virtues of mind training of Atisha, came from Dhammakirti's teaching in Indonesia. And Dhammakirti's teaching comes from the South India. So there is a long history of association between